You need to kick Chloe out. The voice of my sister sliced through the quiet Sunday morning. I looked up from my coffee, the kitchen table, sunlight streaming through the window, the smell of pancakes still lingering in the air. I stared at her, trying to process the absurdity of what she had just said. What? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Vanessa leaned against the marble counter with her arms crossed, looking entirely too pleased with herself. Chloe is 19. She is a sophomore in college. She should be finding her own place by now. Marcus needs to move in here. I blinked, setting my mug down slowly. Marcus, your boyfriend of 3 months? Yes. He needs a place to stay. And your daughter is an adult. It is time she grows up and learns how the real world works. Chloe was upstairs, my daughter, a straight A student living at home to save money while working a part-time job at the library. And Marcus. Marcus was a 34-year-old man-child who worked part-time at a gas station and had just been evicted for not paying his rent. He had a bad streak, according to Vanessa. A bad streak that apparently lasted his entire adult life. This is my house, Vanessa, I said, keeping my tone perfectly level. Actually, she smiled, a slow, venomous smirk. It is Mom house, and I already talked to her. She agrees with me. My blood ran cold. Technically, the deed was in my mother's name, Eleanor. She had bought the place 20 years ago. When my marriage fell apart 15 years ago, she let me move in. But letting me move in was not a charity case. I had been paying her $1,800 a month in rent every single month for 15 years. I maintained the property. I fixed the plumbing. I was the one who treated this place like a home, while the deed remained in her name. Mom said you were going to kick Chloe out, Vanessa continued, inspecting her freshly manicured nails. She said family helps family. Marcus is practically family now. I gripped the edge of the table. He is homeless because he refused to work, Vanessa. Her face flushed red. You are so judgmental, Olivia. That is exactly why your husband left you. I let the silence stretch. I did not take the bait. The air in the kitchen felt heavy, suffocating. Fine, I said finally. Let me talk to Mom. Vanessa smiled, victory shining in her eyes. She is waiting for your call. I dialed my mother number that exact same afternoon. My hands were shaking, not from fear, but from a deep, simmering rage. Did you tell Vanessa I was going to kick Chloe out? I asked the second she answered. A long pause on the other end. Olivia, honey. Vanessa mentioned that Marcus needs help, and well, Chloe is an adult now. Mom, I interrupted, my voice sharp. I am paying you $1,800 a month to live here. 5 years ago, I gave up a massive promotion in Seattle, a promotion that would have doubled my salary. I stayed here because you had your heart surgery and needed someone to bathe you and feed you. I stayed for you. I know that, sweetheart, and I appreciate it. Eleanor's voice took on that soft, manipulative tone she always used when she was about to do something awful. But Vanessa is going through a really hard time. You are strong, Olivia. You have always been the strong one. You can handle this. Vanessa is fragile. She needs this stability. I clenched my jaw so hard my teeth ached. So, you want me to throw your own granddaughter out onto the street for your youngest daughter deadbeat boyfriend? Do not be so dramatic. Eleanor sighed. Chloe can find a cheap apartment, or stay in a dorm. With what money, Mom? She pays for her own tuition. You will figure it out. You always do. Just be a good sister, please. I ended the call. I did not say goodbye. I just let the phone drop onto my lap. For a long moment, I sat in the absolute silence of my bedroom. The sting of betrayal was hot and sharp. My own mother was willing to make her granddaughter homeless to cater to the delusions of her favorite child. I did not cry. Crying was a waste of energy, and I needed every ounce of my energy for what was about to come. I opened my laptop. I pulled up my bank statements, scrolling all the way back. 15 years of payments, $1,800 a month, every single month. Never late, never missed. That was $324,000. all for a house she originally bought for $180,000. I had paid for this house twice over. I picked up my phone again, but this time I did not call family. I called Mr. Hayes, my attorney. I need to know my rights. I told him as soon as he picked up. I have been paying rent for 15 years, no formal lease. Can she evict me? Without a formal lease, yes, he replied, his voice clinical and calm. She can give you a 30-day notice to vacate. I took a deep breath. And what if I have been paying significantly above market rate? The market rate for this area is $1,200. I have been paying $1,800 for 15 years. Plus, I completely renovated the kitchen, replaced the roof, and installed a brand new HVAC system, all out of my own pocket. A brief silence on the line. Send me every single receipt you have, Olivia. Right now. I am on it. The next morning, Vanessa called me. Her voice dripped with arrogance. Mom is officially giving you 30 days to figure things out. You should probably start packing today. Do not wait until the last minute. Okay, I said. That is it. Just okay. She sounded disappointed that I was not begging or screaming. I smiled, a cold, terrifying smile that she could not see through the phone. Thank you, Vanessa. I mean it. She hung up, satisfied. She thought she had won. She thought I was rolling over and accepting defeat, but she had no idea what was coming. 10 minutes later, Mr. Hayes called me back. The tone of his voice had changed completely. Olivia, he said slowly, I just pulled the public records on your mother property. She took out a second mortgage 8 years ago. She currently owes $95,000 on it. I frowned. She never told me that. What else? He paused. She is 3 months behind on payments. A notice of foreclosure was issued by the bank last week. She is losing the house, Olivia. The bank is going to auction it off. In that exact moment, every puzzle piece fell into perfect, beautiful place. The universe was not just handing me an out, it was handing me a weapon. Get the bank on the phone, I told him, my heart pounding with a dark, thrilling rhythm. Tell them I want to make a cash offer right now. The full amount owed, plus all their late fees. Buy the debt. Buy the deed. Consider it done, he said. I closed my laptop. My sister wanted me out in 30 days. Let her dream. 3 days. That is all it took to completely rewrite the future. While my sister was busy picking out paint colors for a house she did not own, I was liquidating my mutual funds and wiring money to a corporate bank account. Mr. Hayes was a shark in a tailored suit. He navigated the banking bureaucracy with terrifying efficiency. The bank did not care about our family drama, they only cared about recovering their money. Because the house was already in the final stages of foreclosure, the bank was thrilled to accept a cash offer to settle the debt without the expensive hassle of a public auction. $105,000. That covered the remaining mortgage, the late fees, and the closing costs. On a rainy Wednesday afternoon, a courier knocked on my door. He handed me a thick manila envelope. Inside was the deed, the official, irrevocable proof of ownership. My name, Olivia, was printed in bold black ink right at the top. Eleanor's name was gone. I ran my fingers over the raised seal. 15 years of paying my mother mortgage, 15 years of silent obedience, and it all culminated in this single piece of paper. I walked upstairs, opened the heavy steel fireproof safe hidden in my closet floor, and locked the deed inside. The trap was officially set. Later that evening, my phone buzzed. It was Vanessa. Have you found an apartment yet? She demanded, skipping any form of greeting. I am still looking, I replied, keeping my voice mild and compliant. Well, you need to hurry up. Marcus already bought furniture. It is sitting in a rented storage unit right now. I leaned back in my kitchen chair. Oh, really? He bought furniture. Yes, a brand new sectional sofa, a king-size bed, and a solid oak dining table. He spent over $4,000. Everything is on an installment plan, obviously, but he wants to move it in on the 15th. He says you need to be out by the 14th, so we can clean the mess you leave behind. I had to bite the inside of my cheek to stop from laughing out loud. He just spent money he did not have. to furnish a house he would never live in. Why are you breathing like that? Vanessa snapped. Are you smiling? I swear I can hear you smiling over the phone. I am not smiling, Vanessa. I am just focused on packing. I hung up the phone. As I set the device down, Chloe walked into the kitchen. She looked exhausted, carrying her heavy college textbooks against her chest. Mom, what is going on? Nothing, sweetie, I said gently. Vanessa was here today while you were at the grocery store. Chloe's voice trembled slightly. She walked right into my bedroom. She started measuring my windows and told me she is replacing my blinds with silk curtains. And Marcus came inside too. He walked in without wiping his boots, sat on our living room sofa, and put his muddy shoes right on the coffee table. When I asked him to take them down, he laughed in my face. He told me this is going to be his house soon, and that I better get used to respecting the man of the house. A cold fury ignited in my chest, but I kept my face perfectly still. Did he say anything else? I asked softly. Yes. Chloe wiped a frustrated tear from her eye. He said that if I wanted to stay, I would have to learn what paying real rent feels like. He said he would charge me $2,000 a month for my own bedroom because that is how the free market works when you are not real family. I stood up and walked over to my daughter. I placed my hands firmly on her shoulders. Chloe, look at me. She looked up, her eyes wide and anxious. Do you trust me? I asked. You know I always trust you, Mom. Then I need you to endure this just a little longer, I said, my voice barely a whisper. I need you to watch them be arrogant. I need you to listen to their insults and not say a single word back. Do not fight them. Do not argue. Can you do that for me? Why? She asked, her voice breaking. It is so unfair. Because, I said, glancing up toward the ceiling, toward the hidden safe in my bedroom. When a parasite thinks it has won, it gets sloppy. Let them spend their money. Let them make their plans. Because when the time is right, everything is going to be better than fine. It is going to be perfect. The very next evening, the physical invasion began. I was in the kitchen washing dishes when I heard the loud, grinding noise of a moving truck backing into my driveway. I stepped out onto the porch. Vanessa and Marcus were hopping out of the cab, followed by two rough-looking guys reeking of cheap beer and stale smoke. What is this? I asked, drying my hands on a towel. Just bringing some boxes over early, Vanessa said, not even looking at me as she strutted toward the garage. It makes the final move easier. Open the garage, Olivia. I pressed the keypad on the wall. The heavy door rolled up, and Marcus immediately started barking orders at his friends. They dumped three massive, poorly taped boxes right in the middle of my parking space. Careful with that, Marcus yelled, pointing a stubby finger at one of the boxes. That is my flat-screen television. I do not want you dropping it on the concrete. He turned to me, chewing loudly on a piece of gum. You might want to move your car out to the street tomorrow. We are bringing the rest of the boxes, and I need the whole garage. I looked at the boxes, then at him. I will keep that in mind. Marcus chuckled, shaking his head. You are taking this surprisingly well. I thought you would be crying by now, but I guess you parasites are used to packing up and moving on when the host finally cuts you off. Parasites. The word hung in the humid evening air. I felt Chloe step up right behind me on the porch. She stiffened, her fists clenching at her sides, but remembering my promise, she stayed absolutely quiet. Have a good night, Marcus, I said calmly, pressing the button to close the garage door right in his smug face. But the real psychological torture started 2 days later. At 9 in the morning, the front door swung open without a knock. Eleanor walked in. My mother still had a key, and she used it to let herself in alongside a man holding a digital measuring tape and a thick clipboard. Good morning, Olivia, Eleanor said briskly, avoiding my eyes. This is Robert. He is a general contractor. We are getting some estimates for the remodel. I stood in the hallway, sipping my tea. The remodel. Yes. Eleanor sighed, acting as if I was being a massive inconvenience simply by standing in my own hallway. Vanessa hates this color palette. It is too depressing. And this kitchen. She walked into the kitchen, Robert trailing closely behind her. The same kitchen I had gutted and rebuilt 5 years ago. I had paid $20,000 for custom oak cabinets, high-end appliances, and granite countertops. Robert tapped the granite. Solid stone. Good condition. What exactly do you want to do here, Mom? Tear it all out, Eleanor said, waving her hand dismissively. Marcus wants a modern industrial look. Concrete, stainless steel, open shelving. Just demo the whole thing. Robert raised his eyebrows. That is going to be expensive. At least $40,000 for a full demo and rebuild. Eleanor flinched slightly at the number, a brief flash of panic crossing her features. Well, we will figure out the financing. Just draw up the plans. I watched my mother authorize the destruction of my hard work, all to satisfy a man she barely knew. It was a calculated performance meant to show me how little my contributions mattered. When Robert went upstairs to measure the master bathroom, Eleanor finally turned to face me. She crossed her arms, adopting a defensive posture. "You are staring at me," she said defensively. "I am just watching you spend money you do not have," I replied smoothly. "Do not start with me, Olivia," she snapped. "You are making this so much harder than it needs to be. If you had just been reasonable from the beginning, maybe we could have compromised. But you are so stubborn. Compromised." I repeated the word slowly. "You mean, let your daughter-boyfriend move into my house while my daughter sleeps on a couch?" "It is not your house," Eleanor hissed, her face turning a blotchy red. "It is my house. I let you live here out of the goodness of my heart, and you never even thanked me properly. You always acted like you owned the place. Vanessa deserves a chance to build a life, and she is building it on my foundation." Eleanor took a step closer, her voice dropping into a manipulative whisper. "Why are you so full of hate? Why can you not just be happy for your sister? She finally found a man who wants to take care of her. He works part-time at a gas station, Mom. He is not taking care of her. He is taking care of himself, using your property. You are just bitter because you are alone." Eleanor spat out, finally showing her true colors. The venom in her words was meant to break me. It was meant to make me feel small, discarded, and worthless. She was trying to gaslight me into believing I was the villain of this story. A decade ago, that comment would have shattered me. Now, it just proved that my mother was exactly who I thought she was. I set my teacup on the counter. "You are absolutely right, Mom. I am alone. And it is the most liberating feeling in the world." She scoffed, shaking her head as she turned to walk away. "You have 8 days left. Pack your things." That night, Chloe sat on my bed while I folded clothes. Not my clothes, but old winter coats we were donating to charity. To anyone else looking through the window, it looked like we were packing to leave. "Mom," Chloe whispered, "Grandma was so cruel to you today. How are you not screaming at them? How are you just taking this?" I pulled a black dress out of the closet, the dress I planned to wear on the evening of the 14th. "Chloe," I said, meeting her gaze in the quiet bedroom. "When your enemy is digging their own grave, you do not take the shovel away from them. You hand them a bigger shovel. Let them dig. Because in exactly 8 days, we are going to bury them in it." Day 10. The countdown was no longer just a concept. It was a suffocating reality for everyone except me. Vanessa decided that waiting until we were actually gone was too much of an inconvenience. She organized a pre-housewarming party. She invited a dozen of her friends over on a Friday night, parading them through my living room with glasses of cheap red wine in their hands. I sat at the kitchen island, quietly sipping my tea, watching the circus unfold. "And this is where we are going to knock down the wall," Vanessa announced loudly, gesturing to the load-bearing wall that separated the dining room from the kitchen. "We really need an open concept. Marcus hates feeling closed in." One of her friends, a woman with too much perfume and loud jewelry, spotted me sitting there. She leaned in and whispered loudly to Vanessa, "Is that your sister? Is it not awkward having her here?" Vanessa sighed, placing a hand on her chest in a gesture of fake sympathy. It is a little awkward, yes, but I could not just throw her out on the street immediately. I convinced Mom to give her a full 30 days to find a new place. I mean, family is family, right? You have to be generous. Oh, you are such a good person, Vanessa, the friend cooed. Not everyone would be so patient, especially with someone just living off your mother like that. I did not react. I just took another sip of my tea. Let her play the saint. Her halo was about to choke her. Day 12. The invasion escalated. Marcus started treating the house like his personal frat house. He brought 3 of his friends over in the afternoon. They dragged lawn chairs onto my back patio, drinking beer and blasting music. They left empty bottles and cigarette butts scattered across the wooden deck I had stained with my own hands last summer. When Chloe came home from the library, one of the men whistled at her. Marcus laughed and told him to show some respect to the departing tenants. Chloe walked straight upstairs and locked her door. I walked out onto the patio. "Clean this up," I said, staring directly at Marcus. He leaned back in his chair, taking a slow sip of his beer. "Or what, Olivia? You are going to kick me out of my own house. You have 48 hours left. Why do you not go pack a box instead of nagging me?" I stared at him for a long, heavy moment. 48 hours. Enjoy your beer, Marcus. Day 13, the day before the deadline. I was in the living room when I heard the sound of drilling at the front door. I walked into the foyer and found a man in a work uniform dismantling my deadbolt. Marcus stood right behind him, holding a brand new smart lock in a plastic package. "What are you doing?" I asked. Marcus smirked. "Changing the locks." Mom gave me the green light. "We want to make sure the house is secure for tomorrow. We are going to give you a temporary code that expires exactly at midnight." I stepped right in front of the locksmith. "Stop what you are doing and step away from the door," I said to the worker. The locksmith hesitated, his drill lowering. "Do not listen to her," Marcus snapped. "She is getting evicted tomorrow. I am the one paying you." I looked at the locksmith. "My name is Olivia. I currently reside here. As of right now, neither this man nor his girlfriend own this property, nor are they on any lease. If you remove that lock, I will call the police and press charges against you for destruction of private property and an illegal attempted lockout." The locksmith looked from me to Marcus, his face pale. "Man, I am not getting involved in a domestic dispute." He packed up his drill and walked out to his van without looking back. Marcus was furious. His face twisted into an ugly snarl. "You are a petty, bitter old woman," he spat. "You think stopping a locksmith changes anything. Tomorrow at 6 in the evening, we are moving the rest of our stuff in. Tomorrow, you are out." I looked at the smart lock still in his hands. "Tomorrow at 6, I echoed softly. "I will make sure I am ready." That night, the house was eerily quiet. The calm before the absolute storm. I texted Mr. Hayes a single sentence. "We are a go for tomorrow at 6. He replied 1 minute later. "See you then." Day 14, 5:30 in the evening. The air in the house was thick, humming with the kind of electric anticipation that comes right before a storm breaks. I was dressed in the tailored black dress I had picked out days ago. Chloe sat beside me on the living room sofa, wearing a quiet, confident expression. We were completely surrounded by the towers of cardboard boxes Vanessa and Marcus had been stockpiling in my home all week. At exactly 5:45, a black sedan pulled into the driveway. Mr. Hayes stepped out, carrying his leather briefcase. He was followed by a tall, broad-shouldered man in a dark blue police uniform. Officer Davis. I opened the front door to let them in. "Are we ready, Olivia?" Mr. Hayes asked, his voice low and professional. "I have never been more ready for anything in my entire life," I replied. We took our positions in the living room. Officer Davis stood near the fireplace, his hands resting naturally on his utility belt. Mr. Hayes sat in the armchair across from me, unlocking his briefcase. And then we waited. At exactly 6 o'clock, the front door burst open. They did not knock. They did not ring the doorbell. They walked in like conquering royalty. "Time is up, parasites," Marcus shouted, his voice echoing in the foyer. He was carrying another box, Vanessa trailing right behind him with a smug, victorious smile on her face. Eleanor was there too, walking slowly, presumably to oversee my humiliating departure. I hope you packed all your trash, Vanessa called out as they turned the corner into the living room. Because if you left anything behind, it is going in the dumpster. Vanessa stopped dead in her tracks. She nearly dropped her designer handbag. Marcus bumped into her from behind, letting out an annoyed grunt before he looked up and saw the scene waiting for them. The smugness vanished from his face instantly, replaced by a deep, defensive confusion. What is going on here? Vanessa demanded, looking from me to the lawyer, and then freezing when she saw the police officer. Who are these people? Have a seat, I said, my voice perfectly calm, echoing through the silent room. Eleanor stepped forward, her face pale. Olivia, what is the meaning of this? Have you lost your mind? We agreed you were leaving today. Sit down, Mom, I commanded. The pure authority in my tone made her legs buckle slightly, and she sank onto a dining chair nearby. Mr. Hayes stood up. He buttoned his suit jacket, his expression completely blank. Good evening. I am Mr. Hayes, legal counsel for Olivia, and this is Officer Davis. We are here to oversee a transition of property. Vanessa crossed her arms, trying to regain her false bravado. Good. Then tell her to get out. Her 30 days are up. She is trespassing. You misunderstand, Mom, Mr. Hayes said smoothly. He reached into his briefcase and pulled out a stack of crisp, thick documents. You are the ones trespassing. Marcus let out a loud, ugly laugh. Are you kidding me? The house belongs to her mother. Tell them, Eleanor. Tell them you own this place. Eleanor opened her mouth to speak, but Mr. Hayes stepped forward and handed her a document. She no longer owns this property. As of 3 weeks ago, this house was legally sold. It is now the sole property of my client, Olivia. The silence that fell over the room was absolute. It was the kind of silence that rings in your ears. Eleanor's hands began to shake violently as she read the paper. The raised seal, the bold black ink. This is impossible, she whispered, her voice cracking. It is a matter of public record, Mr. Hayes replied. You were $95,000 in debt on a secret second mortgage. You missed 3 consecutive payments. The bank issued a notice of foreclosure. My client purchased the debt in full, in cash, before it went to public auction. Vanessa whipped her head around to look at our mother. What is he talking about? You owned this house outright. Why did you have a $95,000 mortgage? Eleanor burst into tears, covering her face with her hands. I will tell you why, I said, standing up slowly from the sofa. Because Mom wanted to play the role of a wealthy real estate investor. She took out that second mortgage to fund a guaranteed return investment she found online. A cryptocurrency scam ran by someone she never even met. She wired the money overseas, lost every single penny, and hid the foreclosure notices in her bedside drawer because she was too proud to admit she had been made a fool. Vanessa's jaw dropped. You lost the house to a scammer. She shrieked at Eleanor, and you were going to let Marcus and me move in here knowing the bank was about to lock the doors. I did not know what to do. Eleanor sobbed. I thought I could get a loan to fix it. I thought I had more time. Marcus dropped the box he was holding. The cardboard split open, spilling cheap plates onto the floor. This is a setup, he yelled, his face turning red with rage. He took a threatening step toward me. This is fraud. You set us up, you crazy witch. Officer Davis stepped forward immediately, his hand resting on his radio. Take a step back, sir, he ordered, his voice echoing off the walls. Take a step back right now, or I will arrest you for trespassing and threatening a homeowner. Marcus froze. He looked at the officer, then at the documents on the table, the reality finally crushing him. But I spent $4,000 on furniture. I rented a storage unit. I bought custom paint. That sounds like a personal financial problem, I said coldly. Mr. Hayes reached into his briefcase one last time. He pulled out 3 separate sheets of paper and handed one to Vanessa, one to Marcus, and one to Eleanor. "What is this?" Vanessa asked, her voice trembling. "That is a formal, legal 30-day notice to remove your belongings," I said, looking her dead in the eye. "I am giving you the exact same courtesy you gave me and my daughter. You have exactly 30 days to get every single box, every piece of trash, and every piece of cheap furniture out of my garage. If there is so much as a shoelace left on my property by day 31, it goes into a landfill." "But we do not have an apartment," Vanessa cried, the arrogant queen facade completely shattered. "We do not have anywhere to go tonight. We gave up our lease." I tilted my head, offering her a cold, empty smile. "You will figure it out. You always do. Just be a good sister and close the front door on your way out." They left that night. They did not have a choice. The moment they stepped off my front porch, the illusion of their grand romance shattered completely. I stood by the window and watched it happen. "You lied to me," Marcus screamed at Vanessa in the middle of the driveway, his voice echoing down the quiet street. "You told me you were getting a house. You told me your mother was loaded. I did not know." Vanessa sobbed, reaching out for his arm. "We can figure this out, Marcus. We can get an apartment together. Get off of me." He snapped, shoving her hand away. "I am not living in some dump with you. You are useless without that house." He threw his duffel bag into the back seat of his rusted sedan, slammed the door, and drove away, leaving her standing on the sidewalk with nothing but her designer handbag and a 30-day eviction notice for her cardboard boxes. 2 years have passed since that night. The house, my house, is completely transformed. It is no longer a battleground. It is a sanctuary. I took down the hideous blinds Vanessa had tried to install and built a beautiful sunlit library right where her cheap sectional sofa was supposed to go. Chloe graduated college with honors and landed a fantastic job in software development. She still lives with me, saving her money to buy her own place, knowing she has a safe, quiet harbor for as long as she needs it. Eleanor moved into a cramped one-bedroom apartment on the edge of town. Her days of playing the wealthy, controlling matriarch were permanently over. She works part-time as a greeter at a retail store to make ends meet. We have dinner once a month. The dinners are polite, quiet. All the manipulation and grandiosity evaporated the moment she realized she had no leverage left over me. She occasionally asks for forgiveness. I tell her I am working on it, and I am. But forgiveness does not mean I will ever hand her the keys to my life again. As for Vanessa, she hit rock bottom, which was exactly where she needed to be. Without our mother to fund her lifestyle and without a man to manipulate, she was forced to do something she had never done in 38 years of life. She got a job. A hard, exhausting job waiting tables at a local diner. 6 months ago, she sent me a handwritten letter asking if we could meet. I agreed to a neutral location, a quiet coffee shop downtown. When she walked in, she looked entirely different. Her expensive highlights were gone. Her clothes were plain. Her hands looked rough. She sat across from me and ordered a black coffee. "I am so sorry," she said, her voice shaking but genuine. "I was an awful sister. I tried to destroy your life because I was too lazy to build my own." I listened to her. I did not interrupt. "Marcus dumped me that same night," she continued, staring down at her paper cup. "He told me I was useless. You were right about him. You were right about everything, Olivia. Do you think you can ever forgive me?" I looked at her. I saw the exhaustion in her eyes, the heavy weight of reality finally settling on her shoulders. "I am glad you are learning how to stand on your own 2 feet, Vanessa," I said softly. "But trust is not something you get back just because you finally realize you were wrong. Trust is earned. I wish you the best. I truly do. But my home and my daughter are my priorities. I will not compromise our peace again." She nodded slowly, a single tear slipping down her cheek. "I understand," she whispered. We finished our coffee in silence. When we parted ways outside the cafe, there were no dramatic hugs, There were no false promises of weekly family dinners or instant healing. There was just reality. People often think that a happy ending means everyone sitting around a big dining table, laughing and pretending the past never happened. But that is a fairy tale. In the real world, a happy ending is peace. It is the quiet of a Sunday morning with a fresh cup of coffee, knowing no one is coming to take your safety away. I did not seek revenge to destroy them. I sought justice to protect us. And standing in my kitchen now, watching the morning sun illuminate the home I fought so hard to keep, I know I did exactly what I had to do. Living well is not just the best revenge, it is the only thing that truly matters.